A comma B, then we need to follow the following steps, okay? So let's do it with an example. Let's say we want to rotate 3 comma 4 about a point 2 comma 1, and we need to know what x prime and y prime are. So the first step that we're going to take is translate it. About negative a negative b. So as you know, in translation, we just add our given point and then our translation vector to find the image. So in this case, we're just gonna take our point p3 comma 4 and then translate it -2 comma -1. So all we need to do is just add this to this. So why we do this is because we want to take back this point back to the origin. So when it's about the origin, then we know the easy steps to rotate that. So please look back on my other video to see how we can rotate to our origin. But all we're doing right now is just taking or pulling that point P back to the origin, so we're able to translate it. We rotate it easily. So let's translate it. 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. So the next step is going to be rotated about the origin. And also I forgot, we're also given theta equals 90 degrees. So rotate it about 90 degrees. So there are 3 ways we can do this. Please refer back to my last video as well to understand how it works. But when I'm rotating back in the 90 degrees, it changes x comma y to negative y comma x. So if it's positive, that is. If it's negative, then it would be y comma negative x. In my last video, I went over other angles and how their properties affect the image. So in this time, we're just going to do it about the positive one. So we have our 1 comma 3, which will be translated into -3 comma 1. Okay, so once we get our point, then the next thing that we need to do is pull it back to our initial point, but this time it has been rotated. So we're going to translate it about a comma b. Okay, so in this case, we're just going to add -3 comma 1 when it's translated by 1 comma 2, I believe, the first point that we were given, which is right here, 2 comma 1, and then -3 plus 1 is -2, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So this is gonna be our final point right here. So guys, please do questions on your own so you can better understand it. So yeah, this is just the theory part. In the future, I might post a video going over like different examples, but I did one example here, and you just need to follow the exact step in your next questions. But in this case, if we're given like a niche angle, like for example, let's say 120 degrees or something, 120, 135, like our answers will definitely be different, and we will be using the formula, which is x prime equals x cos theta minus y sine theta. And then for y, we're just gonna do the same thing, but it's gonna be sine theta plus y cos theta. So if we're given a niche angle, then in the rotation part, we're just gonna plug in the numbers, get the answer, and then pull it back to our original point. So you just need to remember the niche steps or the exact steps for rotating, you know, and refer back to my last video if you want. So next we will be rotating a line. So for a given line, let's say L y equals mx plus b. To translate it, first we need to pick 2 points, then translate it, rotate it. That's pretty much it. And then we just form the new line equation. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just do one quick example for this. So for a given line L, y equals 3x plus 1, theta is given as 90 degrees as well, and then our rotation point is going to be 2, 2. So the first thing that we need to do is pick 2 points from y equals 3x plus 1. You can do any point, but preferably it should be an integer, negative or positive, doesn't really matter. So for this case, I want to pick, let's say 1, 4, and then -2, -5. You can do this by just trying your numbers and trying to not get a negative or not a negative, but a fraction or a decimal. Try to avoid those to make your work so much easier. But yeah, you can just, like, through practice, this will definitely come naturally to you. So after we get this point, the next thing we do is just rotate them. We're just kind of gonna follow this step right here. So for each point, we're gonna follow the step. So the first thing that we do is just pull it back to the origin. So we're just gonna subtract 2 from both points. So it's gonna be 1 minus 2 is gonna be -1. 4 minus 2 is gonna be 2. For this, -2 minus 2 is gonna be -4. -5 minus 2 is gonna be -7. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is rotate it about 90 degrees. So this is pretty self-explanatory. We're just gonna flip the numbers and then make our new our new x negative. So this is -7, so it's gonna be 7 -4. And then we're gonna push it back to the original point. So we're just gonna add 2 for both. It's gonna be 0, 1, and then 9, for -2. So we already found our final points. The next thing that we need to do is just form a line equation. So first we need to find the slope. So slope is change in y over change in x. So change in y would be 0. It would be -2 minus 1. And then 9 minus 0, which will be -1 over 3. So we already found our slope. The next thing that we need to do is just plug in the numbers into the line equation. Y minus y naught equals m times x naught, x minus x naught. So in this case, you can just plug in any of the numbers, but I'm gonna choose the ones that are easier. So I'm just gonna plug in 0, 1. So y will stay intact, and the y naught will be 1, which will be equal to -1 over 3, x minus 0. So simplifying everything, we get -1 over 3x plus 1. So guys, if this was kind of difficult, you can just rewatch it again. I think understanding this point is really important, or understanding this concept is really important before you do any questions. And then once we have like kind of a partial understanding, you could just like go on. So next up, we will be looking at circles. So for circles, I think it's very self-explanatory, but the first step that we need to take is identify the center and then with the radius. Once we identify the center and the radius, the next thing that we need to do is find the image of the center and then plug it back into the circle equation. That's pretty much it. So let's do it with an example. So if we're given x plus 4 squared plus x y minus 6 squared equals 9, then the first thing that we need to do is identify the center. So the center will be -4 and 6. And then the next thing that we need to do is, by the way, we're rotating it about the point minus 7 comma 3. So, and also our theta is given as 180. So we need to pull back to the origin. So minus 4 minus 7, minus 4 minus of minus 7 will be minus 4 plus 7, which will be 3. And then 6 plus 3 will be 9. After that, we just need to rotate it. So it will be the rotation of 180 degrees. We'll just make the points, both points negative, or just multiply them by negative. So minus 3 comma minus 9. After that, we need to push back this rotated point to the initial point. So minus 7 minus 3 is gonna be minus 10. Minus 9 minus 3 will be minus 12. And then this is our new center. Now we need to plug this back into the equation. When we plug everything back into the equation, it would be x plus 10 squared plus y plus 12 squared equals 9. So this is how we can easily translate a circle. If you guys have any question, you can just put it down in the comments. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys.